My wedding was absolutely perfect. The kind of perfect you see in movies and think that could never happen to real people. But it did happen to me. The ceremony was magical, with white roses cascading down marble columns and golden sunlight streaming through the resort's glass chapel. The reception was everything I dreamed of for 3 years, dancing under string lights, my grandmother's pearls catching the moonlight, and 220 guests celebrating what everyone called true love. But when I went to our honeymoon suite that night, expecting to find the romantic surprise my maid of honor had been preparing, I discovered she'd prepared something all right. Herself. In bed. With my new husband. The scent of vanilla candles and champagne still lingered in the hallway as I walked toward our presidential suite, my heart fluttering with anticipation. Arya had whispered to me during the bouquet toss, "I've got something beautiful waiting for you in the suite, Tia. Something to make your first night as a married woman absolutely perfect." I was thinking rose petals. Maybe champagne on ice. Soft music playing. I wasn't thinking I'd find my 19-year-old niece and my husband of 6 hours tangled together in our marriage bed. Just a few more months of playing the perfect husband, I heard Dante's voice through the slightly open door, and "We'll have everything we need to start over somewhere new." "Thank you for going through with the wedding," Arya whispered back. I know it was hard, pretending to love her. I stood there in complete shock for what felt like hours, my wedding dress still rustling from the reception, but what happened next would take 6 weeks to plan and destroy them forever. Before we dive into the story, drop your country flag in the comments if you're ready for the most shocking wedding night betrayal you've ever heard. This is Revenge with Nick, where betrayal meets brilliant justice. Now, I know you could watch this anywhere, but if you subscribe to this channel, you're supporting stories that show people refusing to be victims. It would mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and helps me bring you more incredible revenge stories like this one. What happens next will redefine everything you know about wedding day karma. Trust me, you won't see this ending coming. Let me paint you the picture of who I was before that night destroyed everything. My name is Valentina Brown, and at 29, I thought I had life figured out. I'm a family law attorney, ironic, considering what's coming, specializing in high-stakes custody cases. The kind of lawyer who fights for broken families and somehow still believed in happily ever after. The resort was like something out of a fairy tale. Palm trees swaying in the Caribbean breeze, white sand beaches, and a glass chapel that overlooked the ocean. We'd chosen this destination wedding specifically because it felt magical, untouchable. Dante Morrison, my husband of exactly 6 hours when I made that discovery, was 31 and everything I thought I wanted. Marketing executive with kind eyes and a laugh that made me feel like the funniest person alive. We'd been together 4 years, and every single day felt like a gift. "You're going to be the most beautiful bride," he'd whispered the night before, kissing my forehead. "I can't wait to call you my wife." But the person I trusted most in this whole story wasn't Dante. It was Arya Santos, my sister Lucia's daughter. 19 years old, pre-med sophomore, and the closest thing I'd ever have to a daughter. When Lucia struggled with addiction, I stepped in. I paid Arya's tuition, mentored her dreams of becoming a doctor, brought her to family dinners, included her in girls' trips. Arya had sobbed during her maid of honor speech just hours earlier. "Tia Valentina saved my life," she'd said, her voice breaking. When my mom couldn't be there, Valentina became my second mother. She taught me what unconditional love looks like, and I will spend my whole life trying to be worthy of the woman who believes in me. The entire reception had been in tears. Even now, writing this, I remember how my heart swelled with pride and love for this girl I'd helped raise. The reception was everything I'd dreamed of. Dancing under string lights, heartfelt toasts, and that magical feeling that comes when everyone you love is celebrating together. Around 10:15 p.m., as things were winding down, my phone buzzed with a text from Arya. "Tia, I need maybe 20 more minutes to put the finishing touches on your surprise in the suite. Is that okay? I wanted to be absolutely perfect for you." I smiled, showing Dante the message. "Look how sweet she is. Still working on whatever surprise she's planned." "That girl adores you," he said, kissing my temple. "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." But 10 minutes later, he found me chatting with my college roommates, Friends I hadn't seen in over a year. Baby, I hate to interrupt, he said, but Tom Morrison is leaving for his flight at 5 a.m. He wants to say goodbye before he heads up to pack. Mind if I catch him real quick? Of course, I said, hugging him. These girls are going to talk my ear off anyway. Take your time. My college friends and I ended up deep in conversation, catching up on marriages, careers, and life changes. You know how it is when you haven't seen close friends in forever. Time just disappears. Remember when we thought we'd all be living in the same city forever? Sarah laughed. And now look at us, Jessica added. Spread across 3 states, but still picking up like no time has passed. We talked and laughed for what felt like minutes, but was actually almost an hour. Other guests were heading to their rooms, the reception staff was cleaning up, and I suddenly realized Dante still hadn't come back. Where's your husband? Sarah asked, looking around. Still saying goodbye to his cousin, I guess, I said, checking my phone. No messages from either Dante or Aria. Girl, it's your wedding night, Jessica teased. Go claim your man and get to that honeymoon suite. We said our final goodbyes, and I headed toward the elevators, assuming I'd find Dante in the lobby or that he'd already gone up to the suite. I figured Aria had finished her surprise and left, and maybe Dante was waiting for me there. The presidential suite was on the top floor, quiet and elegant. As I walked down the plush hallway, I could smell the jasmine from the gardens below and hear the distant sound of waves. My wedding dress whispered against the marble floors, and I felt so happy, so full of love and anticipation for our first night as husband and wife. I slid the key card, expecting to find either Dante waiting for me or maybe rose petals and candles from Aria's surprise. But as I pushed open the door, I heard voices. Familiar voices. God, I can't believe we pulled this off, I heard Dante say. Did you see her face during your speech? She has no idea. I know, right? That was Aria's voice, breathless and intimate. I almost started crying for real when I talked about how much she means to me. The guilt is killing me. Don't feel guilty, baby. We're not hurting her if she never finds out. And after tonight, we just have to be more careful until we figure out the inheritance situation. My hand froze on the door handle. That was Dante's voice. My husband. Talking about inheritance? I pushed the door open wider, and there they were. In our marriage bed. Aria's bridesmaid dress, the dusty rose one we'd picked out together, laughing over brunch, was crumpled on the floor next to Dante's tuxedo jacket. They were so lost in each other, so comfortable and natural, that they didn't even notice me standing there. This wasn't a moment of wedding night weakness. This wasn't spontaneous. This was routine. I love you, Dante whispered, stroking Aria's hair. Just a few more months of playing the perfect husband, and we'll have everything we need to start over somewhere new. I love you too, Aria whispered back. Thank you for going through with the wedding. I know it was hard, pretending to love her. I stood there in my wedding dress, holding the gift I'd bought Dante, a watch engraved with our wedding date, and watched my husband and my niece plan my destruction on what was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. Have you ever had a moment where your entire world just ended? Where everything you believed about love and family just shattered in an instant? I stood there for what felt like forever, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Finally, Dante looked up and saw me. The color drained from his face like someone had pulled a plug. Evie, this isn't. Aria was just. Oh my God. Aria scrambled for the sheet, her face white with panic. Tia, I can explain. This isn't what it looks like. But it was exactly what it looked like. And somehow, through the shock and devastation, one clear thought cut through the chaos in my mind. I need to get out of here before I do something I'll regret. I started, then stopped. My voice sounded strange, hollow. I need to. I can't. I turned and stumbled out of the room, my wedding dress catching on the door frame, my grandmother's pearls suddenly feeling like they were choking me. Behind me, I could hear them frantically whispering, but their voices sounded like they were coming from underwater. I made it to the stairwell before the real shock hit me. 6 hours. I'd been married for 6 hours, and it was already over. I found myself in the resort's lobby bathroom, still in my wedding dress, staring at my reflection in the ornate mirror. My makeup was perfect. My hair was still elegantly pinned. I looked like a bride. But inside, I felt like I was dying. The contrast was surreal. In the reception hall, 220 guests were probably still talking about our perfect love story. Some were likely heading to the hotel bar for nightcaps, toasting the beautiful couple. Meanwhile, I was locked in a bathroom, trying to figure out how to breathe without falling apart. My phone buzzed. A text from Dante, "Please come back." Let me explain. This isn't what you think. Another from Aria, "Tia, I'm so sorry. Please don't hate me. I never meant for this to happen." I turned off my phone. I couldn't handle their lies right now. The bathroom smelled like expensive hand soap and fresh flowers, the same flowers from our wedding arrangements. Even here, I couldn't escape the mockery of what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Have you ever been so shocked that your brain just stops working? That's what happened to me. I couldn't think strategically. I couldn't plan. I could barely remember how to stand up. I spent the rest of the night in my sister Carmen's room. Carmen, bless her heart, took one look at me and asked no questions. She just held me while I cried in my wedding dress until dawn. "Mija, what happened?" she whispered when I finally found words. "Everything," I whispered back. "Everything is gone." The next morning was torture. The farewell brunch. 220 guests congratulating me on my perfect wedding. Friends asking when Dante and I were heading to our European honeymoon. Family members gushing about how beautiful everything was. "Where's that handsome husband of yours?" my aunt asked, pinching my cheek. Sleeping in, I managed to say. "You know how men are after parties." I smiled and thanked people and hugged relatives and accepted congratulations while knowing that my marriage was over before it had even really begun. How would you handle that? Smiling and pretending everything was perfect while your world was crashing down around you? The real investigation started when we got home. Dante tried to act normal on the flight, reaching for my hand, talking about our misunderstanding. I let him think I was processing, that maybe we could work through it. But I'm a family law attorney. I know that information is power, and I was going to need all the power I could get. It took me 3 days to move past the initial shock enough to think clearly. 3 days of Dante bringing me flowers, cooking dinner, talking about couples therapy. 3 days of him thinking he could fix this with grand gestures and explanations. "Baby, I know this looks bad," he said Tuesday night, sitting on the edge of our bed while I pretended to read. But I was drunk, and she was emotional about the wedding, and things just got out of hand. It didn't mean anything. I nodded and made sympathetic noises while mentally noting every lie. Nothing about what I'd witnessed looked drunk or emotional or meaningless. Wednesday night, while Dante slept, I began my real investigation. Our shared cloud account was a goldmine. Months of deleted messages that weren't actually deleted. Photos that painted a picture I wasn't prepared for. The timeline was devastating. The affair started 10 months ago, during our engagement party planning. While I was tasting cakes and choosing flowers, Dante was texting Aria about hotel rooms and secret meetings. March 15th, Dante to Aria, "Can't stop thinking about yesterday. When can we do it again?" March 15th was the day after we'd finalized our venue booking. I remembered that day. We'd celebrated with champagne and talked about our future. That same night, apparently, Dante was making plans with my niece. April 3rd, Aria to Dante, "Tia is paying for my spring break trip to Cancun. Want to meet me there? She'll never know." April 3rd. I remembered buying Aria's plane ticket, thinking I was giving my beloved niece a much-needed vacation. May 22nd, Dante to Aria, 2 more months and we'll be married. Then we can access her inheritance and disappear together. My grandmother's inheritance. The money I hadn't even told Dante about yet because I wanted it to be a surprise after our European honeymoon. Photo after photo showed them together. In hotels I'd never been to. Wearing clothes I'd helped pay for. Aria in expensive jewelry that I now realized came from our joint account. The financial records were just as damning. Hundreds of charges I'd assumed were wedding-related. Hotel rooms in cities where Dante claimed to have business meetings. Restaurants where he'd taken Aria while telling me he was working late. June 10th, a charge for $500 at the jewelry store. The same day Dante told me he was working overtime. June 10th, a photo on Aria's hidden Instagram account showing off a new necklace. The caption, "Someone special knows how to treat a girl right." Someone special. Using my money. Have you ever discovered that people you loved were not just betraying you, but actively stealing from you to fund that betrayal? It's a special kind of violation that cuts deeper than just infidelity. By the end of the first week, I had a choice to make. I could confront them with what I knew, file for divorce, and try to move on. That's what the emotional, devastated part of me wanted to do. But I'm a lawyer. And lawyers understand that how you handle a crisis matters more than the crisis itself. I think we should try couples therapy, I told Dante over breakfast on Friday morning. What happened at the wedding? I want to understand it. I want to work through it. The relief on his face was pathetic. Really? Oh, baby, yes. I'll find us the best therapist. We can fix this. I think I should stay in the guest room for a while, I added. Just until we work through things. I'm having trouble sleeping. He nodded eagerly, probably thrilled to have the master bedroom to himself. I called my law school friend Rachel that afternoon. I need a therapist recommendation. And a private investigator. And possibly a very good divorce attorney. Jesus, Val. What happened? Something that's going to require very careful handling. The private investigator confirmed what I already knew, but now I had professional documentation. Photos, financial records, witness statements from hotel staff who remembered them. Everything I needed for court. But as I sat in my guest room, surrounded by evidence of their betrayal, a different idea started forming. My 30th birthday was 6 weeks away. I'd already been planning a party, a celebration with friends and family, including many of the same people who'd attended our wedding. What if, instead of quietly filing for divorce, I gave them exactly the kind of public humiliation they'd given me? What if I let them think they'd gotten away with it, then destroyed them in front of everyone who mattered? I opened my laptop and started typing. Birthday party guest list, revised. Would you have the patience to wait 6 weeks for revenge? Or would you want justice immediately? I chose to wait because I wanted to do this right. I wanted to make sure they never forgot the consequences of betraying someone who trusted them completely. Can you imagine discovering that your own family betrayed you like this? That the person you trusted most in the world was actively planning your destruction? I don't know how I held it together for 6 weeks, honestly. If this story is hitting you in the feels, whether it's bringing up your own experiences with betrayal or just making you angry on my behalf, a simple like on this video would mean everything to me. It lets me know these stories are resonating with you, and it helps other people find these stories too. Let me know in the comments, would you have confronted them immediately, or would you have had the patience to plan the perfect revenge? Because what I did next is absolutely brilliant. The next 6 weeks were the longest and most difficult acting job of my life. Every morning, I woke up next to the knowledge that my husband and niece were planning to steal my inheritance and disappear together. Every family dinner, I smiled at Aria while knowing she'd been destroying my life for months. Every therapy session, I nodded sympathetically while Dante talked about rebuilding trust and moving forward. I think what happened was a wake-up call, he said during our second therapy session. It made me realize how much I love Valentina and how much I want this marriage to work. Dr. Martinez, our therapist, nodded encouragingly. That's a very mature perspective, Dante. Valentina, how does that make you feel? Hopeful, I lied smoothly. I want to believe people can change. The truth was, I was documenting everything. Every therapy session was more evidence of Dante's willingness to lie to a professional. Every family dinner where Aria acted innocent was more proof of her manipulation. Tia, you seem distant lately, Aria said during Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Are you okay? Is everything all right with you and Dante? My mother looked concerned. Nija, you do seem tired. Marriage adjustment is normal, but just work stress, I said, forcing a smile. Big custody case coming up. Aria squeezed my hand. You work too hard. You deserve to be happy. The audacity was breathtaking. She was actively destroying my happiness while telling me I deserved it. But these family dinners became intelligence-gathering operations. I started noticing things I'd missed before. The way Aria's eyes lit up when Dante walked in. How she always managed to sit next to him. The expensive clothes she was wearing, clothes that I now knew came from my money. Beautiful bracelet, Arya, my aunt commented one evening. Thank you. Someone special gave it to me, Arya replied, glancing quickly at Dante. Someone special. There was that phrase again. Have you ever had to pretend everything was fine while your world was falling apart? It's exhausting. But it was also empowering, because every day I didn't confront them was another day I could gather evidence and plan their complete destruction. The hardest part was the physical intimacy. Dante expected things to go back to normal. When can you move back to our bedroom? He asked after 3 weeks of therapy. Dr. Martinez said to take things slow. I reminded him. I need more time. But we're married, baby. I miss sleeping next to my wife. The word wife felt like acid in my mouth. But I nodded and made understanding noises while internally planning his downfall. My 30th birthday was November 15th, 6 weeks and 3 days after my wedding. 6 weeks and 3 days after I discovered my husband and niece in our marriage bed. I'd originally planned a small celebration, maybe dinner with family and a few close friends. But now I had a different vision. I want to do something big for your birthday, Dante said during week 4 of our reconciliation. After everything we've been through, I want to celebrate you properly. Actually, I said carefully, I'd like to plan something myself. Kind of like reclaiming my joy, you know? Taking control of my own happiness. He beamed at me. That's amazing, baby. So healthy. What are you thinking? A dinner party. Maybe 70 people. Family, friends from law school, colleagues. People who matter to us. I love it. Whatever you want, it's yours. Whatever I want. Perfect. I booked the private dining room at Celestial, the most elegant restaurant in the city. The same restaurant where Dante had proposed 2 years earlier. I wanted the irony to be perfect. The guest list took careful consideration. I invited everyone who'd been at our wedding. Both our families. My law firm partners. Our mutual friends. People who'd witnessed our perfect love story and would now witness its spectacular ending. Are you sure you want this many people? My assistant asked when I handed her the invitation list. It's a lot of coordination. Trust me, I said. This is going to be a birthday nobody forgets. I also made sure to book the restaurant's presentation system. For the birthday slideshow, I told the event coordinator. How lovely, she said. A trip down memory lane for your milestone birthday. Something like that. The technology was key. I needed professional-grade audio and visual capabilities. I needed every person in that room to see and hear everything clearly. I needed the evidence to be undeniable. Tia, I'm so excited for your party. Arya gushed during our 5th week of planning. 30 is such a big milestone. Are you doing anything special? Just a slideshow, I said innocently. Photos from throughout my life. Some surprises. I love surprises, she said, hugging me. Can I help with anything? Just be there, I said. Your presence is all I need. She had no idea how true that was. The week before my birthday, I had everything ready. Months of evidence organized like a legal brief. Photos printed in high resolution. Audio files professionally enhanced. Financial documents highlighted and annotated. I'd also quietly moved my personal belongings out of the house. Dante thought I was just redecorating and making space for new energy. Really, I was preparing my escape. You seem so much happier lately, he commented on Tuesday night. Therapy is really working. I feel like I'm finally seeing things clearly, I told him. And I was. Wednesday night, I did a final run-through of my presentation. 70 slides. 40 minutes of content. A complete timeline of their affair, documented with the precision of a court case. Photo evidence. Them together in hotels, wearing clothes bought with my money. Financial evidence. Credit card statements showing affair expenses. Digital evidence. Message threads and email chains. Audio evidence. Recordings I'd made of their phone conversations. And the piece de resistance, a recording from our wedding night. While I was crying in Carmen's room, I'd left my phone recording in the hallway outside our honeymoon suite. Their post-discovery conversation was captured in perfect clarity. She actually believed us, Dante's voice saying. That we were just, what did you call it? overcome with emotion. She's so naive, Arya laughing. God, it's almost sad how much she trusts me. Makes this almost too easy. 6 more months of playing the perfect husband, and we'll have access to everything. Her inheritance, the house, all of it. Do you think she suspects anything about the money? No way. She thinks she's being smart by not telling me about Grandma's will yet. She has no idea we've been monitoring her accounts for months. Monitoring my accounts. They'd been tracking my inheritance before I even knew about it. Thursday night, the night before my birthday, I sat in my guest room and looked at 6 weeks' worth of evidence. Evidence that would destroy 2 people I'd once loved completely. Did I feel guilty? No. I felt powerful. Tomorrow's the big day. Dante called through the door. I can't wait to celebrate my amazing wife. Me neither, I called back. I can't wait to give everyone something they'll never forget. Have you ever been so prepared for a moment that you felt calm instead of nervous? That's how I felt. Like I was finally about to balance the scales of justice. I have to ask, do you think Valentina was right to wait 6 weeks and plan this elaborate revenge? Or should she have just confronted them immediately and filed for divorce? Share this video with someone who appreciates strategic thinking, because what happens next is absolutely incredible. And if you're not subscribed yet, it would honestly make my day if you hit that button. These stories take a lot of time to research and present, and knowing that you want to see more means everything to me. The revenge that's coming will blow your mind. Trust me. November 15th. My 30th birthday. The day I'd been planning for 6 weeks. I woke up in the guest room to the smell of coffee and bacon. Dante was making breakfast, another one of his "I'm a changed man" gestures. Happy birthday, beautiful, he said, kissing my forehead when I came to the kitchen. 30 looks amazing on you. Thank you, I said, accepting the coffee. I feel like this is going to be a transformative year. I got you something special, he said, pulling out a small jewelry box. I know things have been complicated, but I want you to know how much you mean to me. Inside was a diamond necklace. Beautiful, expensive, and purchased with money from our joint account. Money I now knew he was planning to steal. It's beautiful, I said, letting him put it on me. I'll wear it tonight. You're going to look incredible, he said. I'm so proud to be your husband. Husband. In about 8 hours, he wouldn't be anymore. I spent the day at the spa, getting ready. Hair, makeup, nails. I wanted to look absolutely perfect for what was coming. Not because I wanted to look beautiful, but because I wanted to look powerful. Big birthday celebration tonight? My makeup artist asked. The biggest, I said. Something people will talk about for years. I chose a red dress. Valentino, sleek and sophisticated. The kind of dress that commanded attention. I paired it with the diamond necklace Dante had given me and my grandmother's pearls. Old money and new betrayal, perfectly combined. You look stunning, Carmen said when I stopped by her house before the party. Like a woman who knows exactly who she is. I do, I said. Finally. The restaurant looked perfect. 70 people mingling in the private dining room, champagne flowing, soft jazz playing. Many of these same people had been at my wedding 6 weeks ago, celebrating what they thought was the beginning of my happily ever after. Valentina. My law school friend Jessica hugged me. You look amazing. How's married life treating you? Eye-opening, I said with a smile. Absolutely eye-opening. Dante worked the room like the perfect husband, his hand on my back, introducing me to his colleagues. My brilliant wife, he kept saying. My amazing wife. Arya arrived fashionably late, stunning in a black cocktail dress that I realized cost more than most people's monthly rent. Bought with my money, of course. Tia, she squealed, hugging me. Happy birthday. 30 is going to be your year, I just know it. It already is, I said, hugging her back. Thank you for being here. This wouldn't be the same without you. I wouldn't miss it for the world. She had no idea how true that was about to become. By 8:30, everyone had arrived. Both families, law firm partners, friends from college, Dante's colleagues. 70 people who mattered to us, who'd witnessed our perfect relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, tapping my champagne glass. Thank you all for being here to celebrate my 30th birthday with me. Applause and cheers. Warm smiles. Love and support from people who had no idea what was coming. Before dinner, I wanted to share something special with you. A slideshow of memories from my life so far. We love slideshows, my aunt called out, and everyone laughed. This one's a little different, I said, moving toward the presentation controls. It's about truth. About seeing people clearly. About understanding who really loves you and who doesn't. The lights dimmed. The screen lit up with a photo of me as a child, gap-toothed and grinning. This is me at 7, I said. Believing that people are basically good. That family means everything. That love is real and pure and forever. More childhood photos. Family vacations. School graduations. Law school. Everyone was smiling, relaxed, enjoying the trip down memory lane. This is me at 25, I said, showing a photo from when I started my law practice. Finally understanding that not everyone tells the truth. That sometimes people lie to get what they want. But still believing that the people closest to you, your family, your partner, would never deliberately hurt you. I clicked to photos from my relationship with Dante. Our first date, vacations together, the proposal. This is me at 27, falling in love with someone I thought was honest and kind and faithful. And this, I said, clicking to our wedding photos, is me 6 weeks ago, on what I thought was the happiest day of my life. The room erupted in awe and applause. People remembered the wedding. They'd been there. They'd seen how perfect everything looked. Beautiful wedding, someone called out. Fairy tale, someone else agreed. It was, I said, from the outside. But you know what I learned that night? Sometimes fairy tales are just really elaborate lies. The room got quieter. People sensed a shift in tone. You see, while all of you were celebrating my marriage to this wonderful man, I gestured to Dante, whose smile was starting to fade. He was making other plans. Plans that didn't include me. I clicked to the next slide. A screenshot of a text conversation. Dante to Aria, March 15th. Can't stop thinking about yesterday. When can we do it again? Dead silence. You could have heard a pin drop. This was sent the day after we finalized our wedding venue. While I was calling vendors and addressing invitations, my fiancé was texting my maid of honor about their affair. Gasps. Shocked murmurs. I could see people looking between Dante, Aria, and me, trying to process what they were seeing. Dante stood up. Valentina, what are you doing? This is. Sit down, I said quietly, and something in my voice made him obey immediately. I clicked to the next slide. Financial records. This is a credit card statement from April. You can see charges for hotel rooms, restaurants, jewelry. All purchased by Dante Morrison using our joint account. None of these dates correspond with anywhere we went together. More slides. More evidence. Hotel receipts. Restaurant charges. Photo after photo of Dante and Aria together, wearing clothes bought with my money, in places I'd never been. This affair lasted 10 months, I said, my voice steady and clear. It started during our engagement and continued through our wedding planning, our bachelor and bachelorette parties, and right up through our wedding night. Valentina, please. Aria's voice was small, terrified. Let me explain. Oh, you'll get to explain, I said. To everyone. I clicked to an audio file. Suddenly, Aria's voice filled the room through the restaurant's sound system. God, Tia is so naive. It's almost sad how much she trusts me. Makes this almost too easy. Then Dante's voice, 6 more months of playing the perfect husband, and we'll have access to everything. Her inheritance, the house, all of it. The room erupted. Shocked exclamations, angry voices, chairs scraping as people stood up. Jesus Christ, my law partner Michael said loudly. Are you kidding me? My sister Lucia was staring at her daughter in horror. Aria, what have you done? It's not what it sounds like. Aria cried, tears streaming down her face. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I said, clicking to more evidence. You've been planning to steal my inheritance and disappear together. You've been using wedding planning as cover for your affair. You used my money to fund your relationship while pretending to love and support me. More audio played. Their wedding night conversation, captured while I was crying in my sister's room. She actually believed us. That we were just overcome with emotion. She's so naive. Makes this almost too easy. The room was in chaos now. My brother-in-law Carlos was being held back by 3 people as he tried to get to Dante. My law partners were staring in amazement at the thoroughness of my evidence. Wedding guests were pulling out their phones, recording everything. And finally, I said, raising my voice over the commotion, I want to share the most important discovery of all. I pulled out a manila envelope. Annulment papers. Filed this morning with the family court. My marriage to Dante Morrison is officially void due to fraud and deception. I looked directly at Dante, who was white as paper. You wanted access to my inheritance? Here's what you get instead. Nothing. The house is in my name only. The accounts are frozen. And thanks to this very public display of evidence, you'll have a hard time finding another woman stupid enough to trust you. Then I turned to Arya. As for you, Mija, your tuition payments stop immediately. Your credit cards, which I've been paying for, are canceled. And your college fund, which was going to be my gift for your graduation. I'm donating it to a women's shelter for victims of financial abuse. Arya collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Tia, please. I'm so sorry. I never meant. You never meant to get caught, I corrected. There's a difference. The entire room was recording now. Phones out, cameras rolling. This wasn't just justice for me. This was a public service announcement about what happens when you betray someone who refuses to be a victim. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, raising my champagne glass, thank you for coming to my 30th birthday party. And thank you for witnessing the birth of a woman who will never again let anyone take advantage of her kindness. The applause was thunderous. Even people who barely knew me were cheering. Justice, it turns out, is universally satisfying to witness. How would you feel watching this unfold? Would you cheer for me, or would you think I went too far? Because honestly, watching Dante and Arya's faces as their lives crumbled in front of 70 people was the most satisfying moment of my life. If this gave you absolute chills, please smash that subscribe button right now. I put so much work into bringing you these incredible stories, and knowing that you want to see more honestly makes my entire week. Comment below. Was this perfect justice, or did Valentina go too far? Because I have to say, after everything they put her through, I think they got exactly what they deserved. The consequences for Dante and Arya are just beginning. What happens next will show you that actions have long-term consequences. The party didn't end with my revelation. If anything, it became more of a celebration. People stayed for hours, congratulating me on my strength, asking for copies of the evidence to share on social media. That was the most badass thing I've ever witnessed, my college roommate Sarah said, hugging me tight. I'm so proud of you. Girl, you just became a legend, my law partner Jessica added. That presentation was better than most closing arguments I've seen. Meanwhile, Dante and Arya had become social pariahs in real time. They tried to leave immediately after my presentation, but the damage was already done. 70 people had witnessed their humiliation, and most of them had recorded it. Dante made one last pathetic attempt at damage control. Valentina, we need to talk privately, he said, grabbing my arm as I mingled with guests. We have nothing to discuss, I said, pulling away. Your belongings will be on the front porch tomorrow. Change of locks happens Monday. You can't just throw me out of my own house. My house, I corrected. The mortgage is in my name only. Did you forget I'm a lawyer? Arya tried a different approach, appealing to family loyalty. Tia, please, she sobbed, cornering me near the bar. I know I messed up, but we're family. Family forgives. Family doesn't steal from each other, I said coldly. Family doesn't lie and manipulate and plan to destroy each other. You're my sister's daughter, which means you'll always be my niece. But you're not my family anymore. By midnight, videos from my birthday party were already going viral. Hashtag birthday revenge was trending on Twitter. TikTok videos with millions of views. Instagram stories shared thousands of times. My phone was buzzing constantly with messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Saw your birthday party video. You're my hero. Girl, you just showed every cheater in America what consequences look like. Can you teach a masterclass in revenge? Asking for a friend. But the best message came from Dr. Martinez, our couples therapist. Valentina, I've been practicing for 20 years, and I've never seen someone handle betrayal with such grace and intelligence. You should be proud of yourself. Grace and intelligence. I liked that better than revenge. 2 months later, the full impact of that night was still rippling through their lives. Dante's career imploded almost immediately. Videos from my birthday party reached his colleagues and clients. Turns out, when you're in marketing and your personal life becomes a viral cautionary tale about dishonesty, companies don't want to work with you. He got fired, my friend Rebecca told me over coffee. His boss said he couldn't have someone with integrity issues representing their brand. Dating was impossible for him too. Every woman in our city had seen the videos. He tried moving to another state, but the internet is forever. Aria's consequences were different, but equally devastating. She lost her family's support system overnight. I can't even look at her, my sister Lucia said during one of our reconciliation lunches. 20 years I struggled with addiction, and you stepped in to help raise my daughter. This is how she repays your kindness. Aria dropped out of college. Without my financial support, she couldn't afford tuition. She moved back in with her mother, but even that relationship was strained. She keeps saying she's sorry, Lucia told me. But sorry doesn't undo 10 months of planning to destroy your life. The extended family took sides quickly. At Christmas dinner, Aria wasn't invited. Extended family members who had witnessed the wedding videos made it clear where their loyalties lay. What that girl did was unforgivable, my grandmother said. You raised her like your own daughter. But the most satisfying consequence was professional. 3 months after my birthday party, I was promoted to senior partner at my law firm. Your handling of a personal crisis showed incredible professionalism and strategic thinking, the managing partner told me. Plus, half the city knows your name now. That's good for business. He wasn't wrong. My client base exploded. Women going through divorces specifically requested me because they'd seen how I handled my own betrayal. I want the lawyer who planned that birthday party revenge, one client said during our consultation. I want someone who understands that justice and revenge can be the same thing when you do it right. How would you feel if your betrayal became a cautionary tale that helped other people recognize and escape similar situations? Because that's exactly what happened. For months after my birthday party, I was living a completely different life. Better in every way. My new apartment was smaller than the house I'd shared with Dante, but it was completely mine. No shared memories, no tainted spaces. Just fresh starts and new possibilities. You seem different, Carmen observed during one of our sister dinners. Lighter somehow. I feel different, I said. For the first time in years, I'm living authentically. No pretending, no performing, no making excuses for other people's behavior. Dating was surprisingly easy. Men approached me with respect, having seen how I handled betrayal. They knew I wouldn't tolerate dishonesty or game playing. You're kind of intimidating, one date told me, smiling. In the best possible way. Like, I know better than to mess with you. Good, I said. That saves us both time. I also started speaking at women's conferences about financial abuse and betrayal recovery. My birthday party video had become a case study in handling crisis with dignity and strategy. The goal isn't revenge, I would tell audiences. The goal is justice. The goal is making sure they face appropriate consequences for their choices while you move forward with your life intact. What about forgiveness? Someone always asked. Forgiveness is for your peace of mind, not their comfort, I would answer. I've forgiven them in the sense that I'm not carrying anger anymore. But forgiveness doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen or allowing them back into your life. 6 months after my birthday party, I ran into Aria at the grocery store. She looked older, thinner, tired. Working retail, I'd heard, trying to save money for community college. Tia, she said quietly. Can we talk? What's there to say? I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not because I want anything from you, but because you deserve to hear it. I studied her face. She did look genuinely remorseful, not just sorry she got caught. I'm listening. What I did was unforgivable, she said, tears in her eyes. You loved me like a daughter, and I betrayed that love in the worst possible way. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know that I understand what I did was evil. Evil was a strong word, but not inaccurate. Thank you for saying that, I said. It doesn't change anything, but it's something. Are you happy? She asked. Very, I said honestly. Happier than I've ever been. Good, she said. You deserve that. As I walked away, I realized I felt neutral about her. Not angry, not sad, just indifferent. She was someone who used to matter to me, but didn't anymore. That felt like healing. The last update I had on Dante came from mutual friends. He'd moved across the country, was working entry-level jobs, and had largely given up on dating. The viral videos had followed him everywhere. He seems lonely, a friend reported. Like he finally understands what he lost. Good, I said. Some lessons need to hurt. A year after my birthday party, I met David, a fellow attorney who specialized in corporate law, who had heard my story and sought me out professionally first, then personally. I have to ask, he said on our third date. Would you really plan elaborate revenge on someone who betrayed you? Only if they really deserved it, I said, smiling. Are you planning to betray me? God, no, he said. I've seen that video. I'm not that stupid. We laughed, but he was serious. My reputation for not tolerating betrayal had become a feature, not a bug. On my 31st birthday, exactly 1 year after the birthday party that changed everything, David threw me a small celebration. Just close friends and family, the people who had supported me through the crisis. A toast, he said, raising his glass. To Valentina, who taught all of us that the strongest people don't just survive betrayal, they transform it into triumph. To transformation, I agreed, clinking glasses. And as I looked around the room at people who genuinely loved and respected me, I realized something important. The best revenge really is living well. But sometimes, you have to publicly destroy the people who tried to destroy you first. This is why Revenge with Nick exists, to show that justice can be an art form when you handle it with intelligence and strategy. Valentina didn't just get even. She transformed her betrayal into empowerment and helped countless other people in the process. If you love this story, please subscribe for more incredible tales of people who refuse to be victims. Hit that notification bell too, because the next story proves that sometimes the universe delivers perfect timing for those brave enough to wait for it. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Valentina's 6-week plan? Was it perfect justice or too much revenge? And honestly, how would you have handled discovering your spouse and niece together on your wedding night? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that betrayal doesn't have to be the end of your story. Sometimes it's just the beginning of a much better one. Remember, the strongest people don't just survive betrayal, they transform it into triumph. And sometimes, they make sure the whole world is watching when they do it.